Wow. Wow. Man, I just finished the movie Silent Night, and oh my god, is it like one of the best Christmas horror movies I've ever seen? And I've seen almost every single one of them because, this month I wanted to watch a series of Christmas scary movies because I knew they were out there. I just never actually watched them. Silent Night, Deadly Night, A Christmas Evil, and then this one, which is just Silent Night, unlike Silent Night, Deadly Night. But there's also Black Christmas. Also watched that. Well, I watched at least like 10 of them, so I try to remember all at the top of my head and haven't reviewed them all, of course. But this one stands out. Oh my god, this one does stand out. And I think this is by far my favorite Christmas movie, my horror Christmas movie. Not Christmas movie, but you get what I mean. Uh, there's a lot of good things about this movie. There's a lot of fun things about this movie that I can't grasp, like what I was watching. Well, the first thing I noticed, like when I was watching other horror Christmas movies, was that this one in particular, the quality was actually decent compared to the other ones. The other Christmas horror movies, the quality wasn't that decent. The budget wasn't that great. Obviously, they were all act like B movies, which of course, this movie also acts in a way kind of like a B movie. Now, uh, I'm not praising this movie, say it's the greatest thing like since sliced bread or anything like that. It clearly isn't. But out of all the Christmas movies I've seen, the Christmas horror themed movies, this is probably my favorite one. It's ridiculous. The kill factors, the kill scenes, the death scenes of this movie, all that. It has the cliche horror death scenes in these movies. I don't want to spoil it. I mean, okay, I'm going to spoil some of the death scenes. So if you don't want to hear it, just click off the video, come back later, or don't. It doesn't matter. It's your choice. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and spoil a little bit of the death scene, so I might want to skip 1 minute of the video. Okay, here we go. Get to the point. So, there's one scene in particular where the killer, he dresses as Santa Claus. He grabs one of the girls, and he throws her into a wood chipper, which is typical in horror movies, because it happens. The first time I really saw this happen was in the movie Fargo a long time ago. Only we didn't actually physically see that happen. We just kind of implied it in a couple other horror movies, and the last one I saw this happen was in Friday the 13th, only where Jason was the one that went through the wood chipper. But oh my god, the wood chipper death scene in this movie was so cliche, but it was amazing. They filmed it epically. when I was watching this death scene, I was gasping. I was thanking myself for watching this movie by myself because I have some friends that don't really do well in horror movies, and I sometimes convince them to watch a horror movie with me. And this one, oh my god, the death scene for that wood chipper was so epic. It was beyond ridiculous. And then there's another cliche death scene that actually happens in Silent Night, Deadly Night, and I think it was a nod to that movie. Also, I think it's in a way a nod to Friday the 13th series. I think that happens in one movie where Santa Claus grabs somebody and he impales them on a pail of antlers from a reindeer. I think it's a reindeer, or it could be just a normal deer. I don't know. I don't know the difference. Okay. But yeah. So I think that's a nod to Silent Night, a Deadly Night. But when I saw that, oh man, this movie has so many cliche death scenes. And what got me is that all the people that you knew were gonna die were outright shitty people. There's the creepy priest. He was creepy. He no holds bar creepy. Nothing. There was nothing shadowing this man's creepiness. He just let it out there. Hey, you need any help, just let me know. You can always come before God, and I can always help you just if you need anything. All right, okay, girls, get together. I'm going to take a picture. Okay, you guys can do a better pose than that. No, this is coming from a priest, but he's being more straightforward sexually about it. So, and then there's this one girl who has a 1 minute scene where she is just outright a bitch to her mother. She's probably 12 years old. It's like, Mom, go get your purse. I want to go to the mall now. And she's cussing. You knew out flat she was going to die. And she does. So in these type of horror movies where the characters they're all assholes. You know they're gonna bite the dust at some point. Granted, there was one particular character, and I'm gonna spoil this part, so you might want to skip ahead 1 minute. If you don't, here we go. There's one particular character. I forgot the actor's name. The actor is so familiar, but he also plays Santa. There's like 3 different Santas in this movie, and they're all kind of shitty people. There's the killer, and then there's one criminal one. I'm not sure what he did, but he's like running away from the cops. Then there's this character. He's been in a lot of movies. I don't know his name, and I'll probably write his name in the bottom of the description below. So if you go down, you can see it, and I'll have it underlined. But that actor, he's been in a couple movies, but he acts so shitty in this movie, especially towards the female cop. He's such a dick to her. And like I said, every single character you knew was going to die, and they were outright shitty people, and you didn't really feel that sorry for them. Granted, I did feel sorry for the, what's her name? The porn star in this movie. There's a porn scene, not really a porn scene, but there's a scene in this movie where a girl's getting naked and she's getting pictures taken of her, and she's obviously a porn star or whatever. I kind of felt sorry for her because she actually didn't seem that all bad of a person, but everyone else was kind of shitty and they deserved it. But this particular character, who also played Santa, who's shitty to the female cop, I was actually rooting for him at the end because, he does bite the dust at the end of the movie, but only he confronts the killer, and he's trying to be badass and confront the killer, and he's being himself, it's like, get out of my way, and he's cussing at him, and they're going at it, whatever. And, oh man, like, he lost that fight, but I was rooting for him that entire scene. I was wanting him to kick this guy's ass, because clearly this guy, the main killer of the movie, the main antagonist, is the one that should have bit the dust in that scene. So that's the one time where I was actually rooting for the douchebag in this movie. There's one thing. Okay, I'm gonna say something that kind of bothered me in this movie, but at the same time it didn't. So, like I said, the quality of this movie was so good, but there were times where it was a B movie, and then it was back to, oh, this is a blockbuster movie, and then back to B movie. Do you get what I mean? Like, it went from good quality, good storytelling, to shitty quality, B movie, typical horror movie, okay, good quality. Like, I was invested in the story of this movie. This movie does have a well-written story, but there are some scenes that are just so out there, and they're so random, that it becomes a typical cliche horror movie. But then when it goes back to the actual story, I'm interested because the main character, I think her name is Ellen, not Ellen Wong. I'll write her name at the bottom too. I forget actors' names all the time, but the main actress, the female cop. So she's trying to solve who this serial killer is. But to me, this actress does so well in this role that I was actually rooting for her, and I was actually invested in her character. That's how this movie affected me. But when it focused on the other characters in the movie, it suddenly became a flat-out B movie, typical horror movie, with typical cliche like, oh, fuck you, oh my god, fuck your mother, that type of language in this movie, in typical death scenes. And then it went back to her, this female cop, where she's trying to solve this murder, and you're rooting for her the entire time. So there's a few times in this movie where I was rooting for the characters, I was invested in the characters. Now there's one actor I definitely remember, that's Malcolm McDowell. That's one actor I can't forget because I love the movie A Clockwork Orange, and I can't say I liked his Halloween movies, but I still like him as an actor. So he's in this movie, and to me, he makes this movie shine because his lines are so cheesy that it's out there. He says some pretty out there stuff where there's one part where the female cop, she lets the criminal Santa go. Like I said, there's 3 Santas. She lets the criminal Santa get away. Not let him, but he gets away. And he just bashes her the whole movie. Oh, well, you're not very good at this, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you should stay here because that's what you're good at. Like, he's being the typical good cop, bad cop type guy in this movie. But it doesn't really work well for me because all I see is, Malcolm McDowell, as Alex from Clockwork Orange, just trying to be a cop. Or trying that's all I see. That's the only thing in this movie that really stood out for me, that got me out of the movement, because every time he had a scene, I just think, oh, I'm watching a different movie, because this is Malcolm McDowell. And that tends to happen with actors that I know very well personally. Not in a personal one-on-one experience, but in movies. So, yeah, every time he was on the scene, it just kind of took me out of the movie. But that's not a bad thing, because I actually like Malcolm McDowell. But for someone that doesn't like Malcolm McDowell, his lines will be so out there that when he pops on screen, you'll just be like, what? Like, oh, you let that criminal get away, or you should probably stay here. Blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, like, he beat her. He was gonna kill her, and you're being kind of a dick about it. The guy's getting away. And, so yeah, there's that scenes, and there's some typical sexy scenes for a horror movie in this movie. Like a lot of these type of horror movies, they do have like all these sex kind of nudity scenes. They tend to get more leeway when it comes to that aspect. So prepare yourself for that. And this is definitely not a movie for children. Like this is not PG. Like of course you're gonna say no shit, but no, I'm being dead serious. There's some brutal gore shit. Like I'm not gonna say this movie is gory as in like disgusting, because I hate that in horror movies. I hate it when horror movies think that gory means scary or it's just disgusting scary. I hate those type of horror movies. I like horror movies that actually get me thinking, that actually get me invested in the movie. But when it's just like a blood fest and guts going everywhere, it gets me out of the movie. Like, oh, that's just disgusting. Like the Saw movies. I don't like the Saw movies because they're just like over the top, extreme, bloody for no reason. But this movie is not really like that. Yes, there are some bloody scenes in this movie, and there are some scenes in this movie that you're gonna kind of feel sorry for the characters, and you're gonna root for sometimes the bad characters, and you're gonna actually feel like that tense moment when the bad Santa shows up. Now, that's another thing I was impressed by. This the bad Santa. Like I've seen all of these Christmas horror story movies where the bad Santa didn't really sell really well, but this one sells really well. He is actually menacing when his presence is known. Like I actually feel tense in the scene and actually want the characters to survive. And like, oh, I know this guy's dangerous. We should run away. Unlike other Christmas horror movies where the threat doesn't really feel there and it feels so much cheesy. This movie is cheesy, but every single scene with the Santa Claus villain, the scary Santa, whatever you want to call him, the silver colored Santa. Every scene that he's in, like it terrifies me. Like it's scary. I can imagine someone actually doing that. And one thing I'll actually say is that they give him a pretty good backstory. And I'm not going to spoil that unless you watch the movie. And get this, there is a twist in this movie, and I'm going to spoil that in a minute, but I'll get to that. There's a twist in this movie that was so it just ran me over like a train. That's the best way I can describe it. Like I did not expect a twist in this movie. And this movie does build up a good plot, like I said. But that plot actually has meaning when it comes to the actual twist of the movie. I'm not saying it's a twist where like, oh my god, he was the killer the whole time. It's not that type of twist. It's a different kind of setup. Now, here is the twist I want to talk about. So if you don't want to listen, skip if you want to watch this movie first. So, the main female cop, her dad was a cop a long time ago. And there's an urban legend in this fictional world that a long time ago, there was a guy who was playing Santa. He found that his wife cheated on him, and he grabs a flamethrower, murders his wife and her boyfriend, and then her dad, the main character, shoots the cop. He knew him, but in that same scene, there's another little boy that was watching him the whole time. And that little boy turns out to be one of the Santas later on in the movie. So, the twist is that the dad is somehow, or the main character's dad is somehow responsible for this Santa, like, coming back and being this vengeful spirit type thing. But, they're not really saying that he's like a spirit or like an evil monster. He's clearly a person, but it does give up this hint that there is this curse going around that this Santa Claus will always come back for more. And that is something I thought was an interesting twist. It wasn't the type of twist where like, oh, this is the killer. He was the killer the whole time, blah, 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 blah. Like in most scary movies. No, like in this movie, it's kind of hinted at who the main villain was the entire time. Granted, like I said, there's actually a couple Santas in this movie that could have easily been the killer, but they all had their different motives. One was a criminal, and one was just a flat out douchebag. And there was a couple other shady Santas, but you kind of got the idea of who the main killer actually was, and that he was actually this urban legend that comes back every so often on Christmas to exact revenge on people that do naughty things. Now, one thing about this particular Santa is that he only goes after people that do naughty deeds, like the pervert priest or the little bitchy girl who wants her mom to get her a toy, or people that are being adulterous or, having a sex life and before marriage, so he ends up killing them. But everyone else that's good, he ends up giving them like a candy or a present, which I thought was a nice little touch. As long as you're good, he's not going to hurt you. But if you're bad, if you're naughty, he's going to hurt you. So yeah, that's all I want to say about this movie without overblowing it. I love this movie. It's one of my favorite Christmas horror movies ever. And I've seen almost every single one of them. I'm still going to watch more. I was disappointed in all the recent ones. If you saw one of my earlier videos where Santa Claus fights the evil elves that were like kind of zombies, I was interested in that movie, but was also disappointed. If you want to see that review, you can go ahead and click right over here at the end of the video. You know what I mean? But yeah, so if I rate this movie a scale of 1 to 10 as a good movie, 10 being good, 1 being bad, I give this movie an 8. Yes, I do. Like, I love this movie. Like, I want to watch it again. I probably will watch it again. Probably not tonight. Probably maybe tomorrow or the next day, since I got a lot of other Christmas movies to watch. Does this movie have rewatchable value? It really depends on your taste. If you like horror movies, this movie would be a good rewatchable value for you and your friends on maybe Halloween or somewhere in the middle of November, or maybe on Christmas. It's a good thing to get your friends around to talk about. So, yeah, that's my rating, and that's what I think about this movie. I love this movie, so you guys should check it out. Anyways, if you haven't yet. Anyways, guys, I gotta go for now. This is Matthew Scooby. See you later. Peace out.